I'm clicking it.
Oh,
Now you're
all right,
eating.
we're live. What's up, Jeremy?
This is, what would you say? Too Thick Live?
Yeah, look at we
Too.
got a first guest.
Wow,
Actually,
big time. Big
our
time. The first lady of the
CEO.
hobby.
The first lady of the hobby, sure.
Too Thick CEO right here.
I've been rushing around, and you know what, guys? I thought maybe I could do a Too Thick taste test for my first time doing it live. I
Let's
just
go.
got this new wine. I've never tried it before.
Witch's Brew.
It's Witch's Brew. It's apple wine with spices added. Now I've had the regular Witch's Brew from this one, but I've never had like the apple flavored one.
Okay.
So I just poured the glass, and I was going to drink it before I, started, but I haven't tried it yet. So
All right, you got to do it.
it smells like apple juice. Here's hoping it tastes like apple juice. It tastes more like pumpkin spice than apple juice, but it's pretty good.
So is that a hit or what?
I mean, I'm going to drink the whole bottle tonight, so I think it's a hit.
There you go. We are shining. So we thought what we've been doing a lot is we've been answering a tremendous amount of DMs from people, whether it's through Reckless or Too Thick, talking about, what should I collect next, or this is what I'm doing, or this is what I'm doing. And we're having a lot of, I don't want to say redundant conversations, but there's a lot of information that I think if we just had open dialogue and shared with everybody, there could be some tremendous value in that. And so I know one thing, for instance, Manny's been on this kick where he's been trying to buy some lots and kind of play that lot game that you and I have played quite a bit, Court. And so, Manny, why don't you talk about what you've been, you just recently bought and what went into that, like maybe the elevator version, and we'll just share with people.
So I've always wanted a big lot. I needed inventory since I'm starting to do shows with you guys more often. And I'm like, man, I need to get something. And I'm interested in soccer cards. It's probably the most fun I've had was buying and selling soccer cards. For some reason, it's not like you're not going to like 10 times your money. But you kind of enjoy watching the players when you get them. So this guy was getting out of the hobby. And I asked him, I was like, what would you do for basically all your soccer cards? And he gave me a number. I couldn't resist. Like he already knew going into it, like it's going to be a bulk deal. I'm giving it to you at like 65 to 70% of comps. I just want to get rid of it and move on, So like the key cards that I saw were this Musiala BGS 9, and the surface is a 9, corners 9.5, centering 10, edges is an 8.5. But when I look at the card, it doesn't look like the edges are pretty bad. So good crack candidate. And then I also saw this 3 Antony refractor autos. They're all in good shape. And he's been killing it for Man United since he's transferred over. He plays for Brazil. So I was like, man, this is a good opportunity. If I could grade these and they get a good grade and sell them, I pretty much paid for the lot that I got. And I got over 100 cards of just short print and like, I would say like Bowman Chrome type player autos that they could hit, they couldn't hit, but it's good to have just in case,
No, I thought, go ahead, Court.
No, I felt like I watched your last episode, and obviously we have a group chat, so we talk about this, and I thought your entire thought process behind that was really like, it was very clear that you put some effort into it. You really weighed the pros and cons. You had gone through, we had talked about it, that there was like a lot more cards, and you could have bought all these like lesser cards, but you recognize the fact that you have a podcast that you do, and you have daughters, and you have a job, and you're, Jeremy and I, we have the luxury of like, there's 2 of us. Yep. And we have, we have our kids that are into it, and yep. We have each other. So yep. Sometimes it makes it a lot easier, like you have these businesses, you see like big, really Burbank Sports Cards is a really good example. Those guys buy tons and tons and tons of cards because they have an entire staff of people that has the time and energy to go through these huge bulk lots. And so like I think sometimes bulk buying isn't for everyone, but people don't realize it and they think, oh, I'm going to buy these cards and I'm going to just like piece them out. And then they sit there, or you miss the opportunity to sell them at the right time because you hadn't had the chance to go through 500, 600, 700 cards.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you go through and you're like, oh man, I had this card. And had I sold it before he got injured, or had I sold it, you know, at the peak of football, or like right before the season started when all the hype was, this card would have been super valuable. But now because it's been sitting in this box that I hadn't had the time to go through, it was wasted, you know, investment opportunity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was a bulk deal where it's bulk, but it's not like thousands and thousands of cards either. So it's not going to overwhelm me. And it's like I said, it's like 3 stacks of this. So it's not too much. What I'm going to do is basically make like an inventory sheet and just keep track of the players of what they do. And go from there. I also got this card yesterday. It's that match ball.
Nice.
That is so cool.
What's that numbered out of?
This one's actually not numbered, but look how thick this card is.
Oh, shit.
It's like huge. But it's cool because it's like the actual soccer ball.
Is it what how are you going to make your spreadsheet? Because I know that you're going to say that and then people are going to ask later. Because are you guys posting this after it's done, or are you just going to go live and then take it down?
We'll post it. It'd be good to know. So like what I usually do is I do my, like I have little tabs of each sport. So I have my soccer tab, my basketball tab, my baseball tab, and then I put the name, what I paid for it, what I got, when it was raw. If I do grade it, what's the grade and how much did I spend on grading, and then my profit, including my shipping and taxes and all that. So I'm a little Excel.
No, I think I love it. I use Google Sheets, but same. Here's a question. Here's a question that I think people might have, and I think this is a good one for Jeremy because he's very analytical. When you guys do these kind of bulk deals, right? And I know how we kind of operate, but why don't we talk a little bit about, you buy, 50 cards for $500. How do you allocate the cost to each card to determine if that card was profitable or if another card was profitable? How does that work for you? What does that look like?
That's actually that's a good question because I've always struggled with that. But what I'm going to do is basically price out these cards now and put a date of what their current prices is at this time, and then what I sell it for. So then I could see my
But that's not what you paid for it.
No. I mean, technically, I think I paid more, or not more. I paid less than what the actual value is if I price it all out. So it's going to show that it's like I'm in the green, right?
Well, it should. I mean, ultimately, if you're buying in bulk, that's the goal, right? I'm not buying a bulk deal at comps ever.
No, you shouldn't. That's one thing that you shouldn't do and I learned that from you guys. And actually, Jeremy actually saved me because I was going to buy all his soccer. That included 25-cent dollar cards. And Jeremy was like, all right, how about you calm down and just buy the stuff you want, get the short print colored and autos and call it good. And I was like, that's a good idea. So I was going to jump right into the deep end and screw myself.
So a couple things before I forget, Court. The first thing, unless a certain card is assigned a certain price during the negotiation when you're buying the deal, I think the easiest way is if you have 50 cards, you divide by the total and then just assign each card that amount. And I think that makes it easy peasy. From a macro perspective, that's all you really care about. I mean, at least for us, if you lose on a couple of individual cards, who cares? Because at the deal, you're looking at that overall at your exit point. Now, back to buying the bulk deal and why I suggested Manny shy away from those common cards are we do so well at shows from quarter boxes, 50-cent boxes, dollar boxes. However, there's a lot of energy and effort keeping it organized, keeping it separate, lugging it around. You know what I mean? And then eventually the way I look at it is the minute that money goes to a card and it comes back, it really bothers me if the card is just sitting and not doing something, because that's just money just chilling anywhere in your house. So me and Courtney actually made that mistake back in the day where we bought some massive soccer lots. And I think of the one from Spurs Sports Cards where we bought so much stuff and we got it. And it was so overwhelming that we didn't know what the hell to do with it. And so you start piecing out on one day you might spend an hour going through it. And so what we've learned is just to shorten it up and then have a plan. So on the lots we've been buying recently, we get them, we go through, we determine what we're grading. That goes to grading immediately, and then we sell everything else unless there's a specific strategy for any particular card to hold it for a certain point, i.e., holding basketball till basketball or soccer prior to the World Cup.
For me too, if you're buying bulk, make sure you know what you're buying. That's my biggest issue. Is like recently Jeremy sent me to Wisconsin to buy a bulk lot, and I can look at basketball and football cards all day. Those two sports I know very well. I follow them. I know the players. I know I know old players. I know new players. I can hold my own. I really like those two sports. Baseball, I'm very niche. I only know like Chicago teams. I'm starting to get to know Detroit just because I follow, local sports. I don't know enough about baseball to feel comfortable or confident like pricing cards out that way. And then there was like UFC, there was some soccer, there was baseball, like baseball we talked about, and there was like 400 cards, and I was overwhelmed and I didn't know what I was doing, and it made me very like I felt stressed, and I feel like I probably overpaid for some cards. We ended up, I feel like, doing okay on that lot, but I was in over my head. And it is really important if you're buying bulk to just know that you are doing something that you're comfortable with, or that you have a lot of time when doing the deal to go through the cards, because especially if you're not buying just like a bunch of bulk base where you have cards that might be valuable or might not be, and have the time to like look them up and know like, hey, this card's definitely going to be worth something, or this one's not, or this person's asking way too much for this card. And it can be like very daunting and intimidating.
Mm-hmm. So I do have a question. I want to go back to what you guys are saying when you keep inventory of bulk deals. You guys, so like say you get 100 cards, you just divide it by the total cost, and then that's what you go. Even though like this card's probably $1, and you have those Antonies that are probably $100, so you're going to take a big loss on like the $1, but you don't care because in all grand scheme of things,
your net.
That's what you guys.
Yeah. So as long as you I keep the lot together, because if you start, like say you buy 3 bulk lots and you split it that way.
Yep.
If you then add all 3 of those bulk lots together, you won't be able to calculate out whether or not you came out net positive or net negative on the lot. So if you have 50 cards and you paid $100 for the lot, say, and so you would say each card was $2, and then you sold one card for $30 and you sold one card for 50 cents, you're going to start balancing that out, because it'll be like negative, it'll be like negative $1.50 on this one, but positive $48 on that one.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes complete sense. I just don't. I'm the type of person, I don't know how you guys are. It's all a psychological thing. But if I see red, I'm like, oh no. So I try to like avoid it. But it makes sense. It's all like the net profit.
But the thing is, you can't post it for what they're valued at, because that's not what you paid for them.
No.
You'd almost have to, if you're going to do it the way you're going to do it, you'd have to like determine like what you value each card at in the lot. And like say you paid $500 for that lot and there's 50 cards. You would have to take that $500 and break it out by each card. Okay. And you could still end up being negative. You don't know. It's so much simpler in my mind to, if you buy it as a bulk lot, this is the cost of this. It's just like when you buy a box of cards and you rip it, the value of each card is what you paid for the box. Yeah. Now, whether or not you sell those cards for more means nothing. Because you might have a card that's worth nothing. You sell it for $0. It doesn't negate the fact that was part of the box that you paid for.
Yep.
In the spirit of transparency, I would say when we buy big lots now, like base cards and stuff that's like maybe less than like, I don't know, really, what do you think, Court? $5-10 just gets allocated to like a bucket. So those cards aren't individually tracked. And we, really in a good bulk deal, we've had good success where it's like, hey, are there 1 or 2 cards we can piece out right away and sell and get a majority of the money back? And if so, those are my absolute favorite deals to make.
Yep.
Okay. And do you guys, I guess we're keeping on the inventory because I'm actually curious on how you guys do it. At shows, because I've seen you guys, you'll buy something and then sell it within 10 minutes. You don't keep track of that type of stuff, or do you remember to put it?
No, it shows when we have a starting.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. For all tax paying purposes, Mr. IRS, we track everything. You probably track too much. Uncle Sam gets all of his money from Reckless.
We don't keep track of the individual card. We do keep track of the sales.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Okay. Say we come with $400 in cash, and we sell all. We buy and sell, and we come home net. We come home with like $1,000 just for the sake of easy math. We did $600 in sales at that show. It doesn't matter the cards. We take the cards out of the lot, and then I'll allocate a price to them. Usually with bigger cards from lots like that, we generally know how much we sold them for at the show. One of us is the one typically doing the sale, and we get home and we pull up our list and we're like, how much did the Tatum sell for? How much did the Anthony Edwards sell for? And we just you put it down. So
yeah, okay.
And then we make sure that whatever our sales are that we're putting into our spreadsheet matches with the goal minus like any flips we did.
Okay. Did you put the Kobe White bulk deal in your inventory, Courtney?
We have not done that yet, man. That's just sitting there. I honestly, if we're being real, I think I might just make Jeremy do that because that was he purchased that.
See what happens when Courtney's not at a card show, Jeremy.
Hater.
We got you the Stranger Things card though.
Yeah, that one's off being graded, so I'm excited about it. But here's the thing: I'm already eating a little crow over the Kobe White lot because since we posted that video, a ton of people like messaging us and like reaching out about like, hey, that's super cool. I'm so high on Kobe still. Everybody's sleeping on Kobe. Yeah. We had a guy like reach out to want to do a trade for like a card that we actually really want with these Kobe's. So I'm like, man, maybe my reaction was too quick. So we'll see.
Jeremy knows what he's doing. He had that little smirk. You know that smirk on the face when he's like, he knows he's about to get a good deal and he comes over to you, taps me on the shoulder and said, how much cash you got? I was a little nervous giving it to him because I didn't want to be put in that same category. Jeremy calls Courtney and says, hey, Manny gave me the cash for it. So
now I have this Kobe card plus we owe our friend money. That's not my favorite place.
No, he gave it to me. No, it didn't.
That was the most convoluted, stupid thing I've ever done in my life. All I did was ensure that Manny doesn't have cash. So I made 74 transactions to make one transaction. All it ended up is Manny doesn't have cash for the show.
Yeah, there was a guy that came and said, do you want that? Like, he was trying to buy it. And I look at Jeremy. I said, I would, but I don't have cash anymore. And
Jeremy.
Unbelievable. Yeah, so I would just, before we move on to the next topic, bulk is definitely where it's at. Just be prepared. There's some work that went with it. And I would, the best bulk deal we ever did was not the best. The best was probably National a couple years ago when we left and we went to Wisconsin. But the 2 or 3 Shipshewana shows ago, Courtney had put out feelers that we were looking to buy somebody's table out at the end if there was any interest. And there was a guy who gave us a 2-row box of just a plethora of cards between $5 and $75. We got home at like 9 p.m. And by like 3 a.m., everything was posted onto eBay. Everything sold in a week, and we probably 4x'd our money.
That's awesome.
And so, it sucked. I am not going to lie. Posting like 150 cards or however many it was on eBay is a tedious process. But that following week when all the money was available in the account, you're like, okay, that's cool. If we can just rinse and repeat, So, Court, you've got experience. How do we go about buying bulk deals? Because that's the question I get the most. It's like people ask, where are you finding these cards? And maybe just collectively we're that much of a psychopath that we're constantly like, I probably check Discord multiple times a day, Twitter, we're in all sorts of Instagram groups. So if you want to talk on that for a minute.
So the majority of our bulk deals, I would say, come from existing relationships. We have there is very few people on the planet that I actually speak to on a daily basis or even once in a while that doesn't know that we collect cards. It is on my personal Facebook, it's on my personal Instagram, it is it is part of like who we are. So anytime that somebody knows somebody who has a cards, the first thing they do is tag me in it or send me a message or give them my phone number, and then I get text messages from people. The one book lot that Jeremy was talking about that we left from the National to go get was a friend of my brother's. So it has, it's really the best way to get these kinds of deals is just to talk about what you do. Talk about being in the hobby, talk about collecting cards, because you'll never know what person has like a crap ton of cards just sitting in their attic or their closet that they don't know what to do with and they don't want to deal with and they just want to sell. And then the other thing is, if you are looking to buy, post on one of those Facebook groups that are like, hey, I'm looking to buy cards, because everybody posts that they're selling cards on those. Nobody's wanting to buy anything. But if you're buying and you have cash in hand and you are, people will say you'll have to sift through absolute garbage and 7 million DMs of people trying to sell you like every base scorecard that they have in their, in their house. But there's always a few gems and there's always a few times where you're going to come across a really good lot. So as long as you're open to buying and you can actually if you post like, oh, I'm looking to buy bulk deals, and then you actually don't have the money and you don't have you can't back up that you're buying, people will get sick of you and they will stop sending you stuff. But just, put it out there. A lot of people I feel like are embarrassed to talk about the fact that they collect cards or they don't talk about it, and you're missing out. That's really what it is. If people know that you collect, they will absolutely send you links and leads and, opportunities.
I just to piggyback off what Courtney said, everybody knows what we do. Everybody knows what we're about. And so the value of that is the moment these things pop up, word of mouth starts to spread, and you get presented a lot of opportunities that you would have never even known were out there. And the one thing that I found is incredibly important, if you have any sort of understanding whether there's the potential for future business and or the person you're dealing with is I'm going to say this, and I'm just going to I have the luxury of having Courtney on, so she knows what I'm going to say is I'll let people win deals every day of the week, knowing the true ROI is the next time we do a deal, it's going to be that much more streamlined and there's not going to be any BS. And I use the example of the Kobe Bryant numbered refractor lot that we bought, where that guy came back like 3 additional times and was just like, I know the deal. Here's where I'm at. Can you get there? 5 minutes of negotiation. Next thing you know, 2 days later, I've got cards hitting the PO box, and our money's good in his account.
Well, you guys don't take advantage of people either. Like you said, you kind of said like you do the deals to let people win, and people that spreads around too. Like when you make a good deal with someone, they're going to want to come back to you, and they're also not just going to want to come back to you. They're going to spread the word to other people. Like, hey, Reckless Cards just bought my cards, and I got a good deal. You might want to go talk to them, and that word of mouth spreads like wildfire at these shows too.
If you think of National in Chicago a couple of years ago, the line for Mealy Pops was absolutely insane. I almost felt like when they'd open the doors in the morning, people would rush there, because at that time, now the market was in a different place, but word had gotten out that they were paying the strongest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then at this year's National, we found ABC, and I said, hey, they're paying at this amount, and they're actually like doing a great job of like comping cards and giving you a good deal on it. And then you guys went the next day and sold some cards to them. And if you're a real hustler, like I feel like some teenagers could have like maximized their profit. They could have bought at the show at like 70%, knowing that this ABC cards or ABC were paying 80%, just kind of going back to that table, selling, going to buy another cards, going to them, selling. It would have been, you just keep going back and forth. You're basically the middleman for them.
That's why you'll see these kids go there with, minimum money, a few cards, and then they walk out with like, a grip of cash or some pretty awesome cards. Because if you're willing to put in the work, and that's where I think young people have an advantage relative to me. And that's why I'm fortunate that when Courtney and I go to a show, we can tag team it, because Courtney will go up to each and every person, try to sell a card. They'll tell her no, and she doesn't get discouraged. One person, I go to a soccer guy and try to sell a football card for 50%, and he tells me no. It devastates me. I'm fucking crushed. I'm like, nobody wants my cards. We're all gonna die. They personally hate me. They think I'm a terrible human being, and so like I guess I'm lucky, because Court's like, nope, next one.
I have to be motivated though. I have to be motivated. Like, if we're being honest, if I'm like just selling to sell, and we like walk up to a couple tables and people are like, nah, I'm good. But if like last, like at the National, when I was trying to get that Jordan, like I was motivated. I'm like, I need to sell these cards because I'm buying this card. So there's like that's part of it, is the motivation behind what you're doing. If you're doing it just, we don't have to sell our cards. That's the thing. We talk about that all the time. And Jeremy and I collect totally differently. He doesn't look at cards the same way I do. I sell cards so I can buy cards that I want to keep. He likes to hunt down a card he wants. Once he has it, he's like, oh, I'm good. Let's move on to the next thing I want. But because we've gotten so strict about not just buying stuff to buy it, he's better about selling stuff, even if it's something he likes, because he's ready for the next thing. Where I get attached, and then I want to keep that plus buy something else. So
I do have a question for you, Courtney. What's your out plan with these Stranger Things cards? Are they just?
I don't have an out plan. I'm keeping them. Like, I know everybody talks about that. This isn't like, I'm not like pumping them up, and I know that they're gonna get higher next year. I know that set that I have.
Technically, you pumped them up. You set the market before the National on those series.
Yeah, I bought them low, dude. Yeah, I didn't. I knew beforehand. I actually made a TikTok, and this kid's like, because I was like, oh, worth it, waiting in line for these cards. He's like, no, sorry, they're not. And then I responded to him. I'm like, go look at what they're selling for on eBay already. And he's like, I apologize. I was completely wrong. You were totally right. And that, like, most of mine, I paid less than $75 for. Most of them I paid between $40 and $50 for, the ones that I didn't already have. So I bought them on the low. So they're like, and I know next year is the last season of Stranger Things. And this is where Jeremy and I are different, because his ass would be selling those cards next year on the high. And I have no intent. And I know probably next year, unless there's some reunion thing in a few years, or they come out with some kind of spinoff, or, one of the main cast member dies, this next year, or the 2024, whenever season 5 comes out, that will be the most valuable that those cards will ever be. And I'm not selling them, because I bought them because I love them, and I won't sell them. And you can market this, whatever this day is, in a few years when those cards are up, mine will not be up for sale. They are. I like it.
Jeremy's. Well, then here's the difference between Courtney and myself is, the moment I had any inkling that there was that kind of money being thrown around for Stranger Things cards, I went on the offense with Courtney. Like, so our watch list on eBay was like Patrick Williams and Stranger Things. And so I'm like, Court, what do you need to complete the set? Because in my mind, we're going to complete the set, and then there's going to be, because people aren't completing this. Boom, buy it. Hey, how much? Boom, buy it. Boom, buy it. And then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go, hey, there's this $5,000 Patrick Williams card. And she's like, you better be prepared to sell a little something, something. And me, I was like, budget out the window, because in my mind, I'm not holding those Stranger Things cards. Those things are already sold. I've already cashed those checks and spent that money on something else.
That's awesome. It's so funny too. And I'm so grateful that I came home from the National, because I was so worried. I'm like, these are, either these are going to be hyped and they're going to drop, and I'm going to pay the peak for them, and then they're not going to be worth anything, or they're going to be super valuable because they are a super limited set of a very popular collectible series. So I made the decision in my mind. I'm like, I want this whole set. I have all the tickets from the show. I have the wrappers. I have, I have all of it. I have the redemption. I ended up buying the redemption card, which I paid like second least out of anyone for that redemption. I think the one sold for like $480. And I paid, or no, I think actually maybe I paid some of I don't know. I didn't pay more than people paid more than me. I'm like rambling and stuttering. I apologize. So
It's the wine.
It's good wine.
It
Yeah.
like not even a glass. So
Cheers.
but what ended up happening is now you can't buy them. Like there are lots of people that are still trying to complete that set, and there's packs that haven't been ripped. There were ones that didn't get distributed. There were some that were stolen. So they might be out there. They might be in a pack. You're going to have to pay, $185, $200 for a pack of 2 cards and hope that you pull one of the cards that you need if you haven't completed the set yet. So I am really grateful that I just bit the bullet and bought those cards when they were like very available, because they aren't anymore. If you didn't complete that set like within a few weeks of the national being over, a lot of people aren't going to be able to, because those Joyce cards, for whatever reason, Joyce is very hard to find. I don't know if like hers was in like most of her cards was in one of the other boxes that didn't get shipped, but they are very limited.
I'm looking right now. They're pretty expensive, like you said. I was going to share my screen and show you while you were talking. Let me see.
While you're doing that, Manuel, I'll just say that Courtney and myself have a little bit of a competitive advantage, I think, when it comes to, gosh, what did that go for?
That
one?
Redemption?
I bet it sold for like $800.
Oh, I got to look at that right now.
Yeah, you got to look it up. And then I saw Joyce, someone selling empty ticket or empty packs.
Yeah, because if you want to, like, I have 2 empty packs, but it's going to be like part of it, the pack. Now, I was talking to Aaron from Slab Stocks, and he was talking about how he had bought packs. And I'm like, these cards are so limited that like however much I would like feel like it would be a boon to have a sealed pack of it. I feel like shit as like just as a collector, because I am genuinely a collector of these, not this isn't something I'm going to turn around and sell. I would feel bad for someone that is also trying to complete this set, knowing that I have a complete set. Yeah, I'm telling you.
You see this, Jeremy?
And that one doesn't even have the redemption.
That's sold for $3,000.
And that's without the redemption.
Yeah. And you
$1,000.
That's what it's
$1,000 for the redemption card. Best offer accepted.
So my set and I have all 3 tickets. This one doesn't even have all 3 tickets. I have all 3 tickets, the wristband, all 18 cards, and the redemption. I could probably sell that right now for like 4.
4? Because this one sold for 3? Yeah.
With the redemption.
What are we waiting for, Court? Come on.
And I bet you didn't spend nearly that
I got 11 of them for free.
Yeah.
And then I bought 7 of them plus the redemption, and I think I'm probably about, if I were to like put a price on it, I'd probably be somewhere in the I'd have to actually like probably about $950.
Jeremy's like, sell it so I can buy another P. Will gold.
No. So this is a legitimate.
Say 10.
This is a legitimate thing. I'm going to throw it out there, and I think it's a natural, normal segue based on everything we're talking. How do you deal with, because card money for us is card money, right? And I told Courtney we were having like a very candid conversation about like, what do we each like within the hobby, and how do we like dive into that to maximize our enjoyment, and then get rid of all the bullshit, all the stuff that we don't like. And so I truly like transacting, but I'm also really like, I've really started the P. Will thing. So it's like a fine line where at some point you have to sell something. And for me, I have to learn to look at stuff that I don't necessarily love. So that way I can continue that, whether it's an arbitrage play or buy, sell, trade, flip, to continue to have money to buy the cards that I want. Like, Manny, I'll ask you, you have a different perspective. I kind of have an idea where Court's coming from, but how do you manage that?
I don't know, because I struggle selling stuff. Like, I buy it. You know how it is. I'm buying it because I like it and I enjoy it. And yes, I would like to like sell, but I'm sitting on a ton of stuff. Like I'm tied up right now. I don't try to sell as hard as you guys do though, and I think that's my biggest problem. But yeah, I get tied up a lot on cards. But
So
I don't mean
here's if you were me and you had this set of cards that you love and you worked really hard to complete the set. Like I worked for that set. You were there at the National. I waited in line every day. I went in early. I stayed late. Hours of my
yeah.
years, plus purchasing everything at the right time, getting that redemption, all of that, and now it's worth like 4 times what I paid for it. Would you sell it?
I see. My thing would have been I would sell it next season because, like you said, it's going to be or when Zero Cool releases theirs because they're going to get more fans with these Zero Cool products releasing, and those redemption cards are going to be more valuable, and then the people are going to realize that
Are they going to be more valuable once that drops? Because they sell for less than what they're selling. The redemptions are selling.
You're right. And then, you have those.
What if what did they do? Like the reverse or the Dutch auction? What if the Dutch auction goes for like 150, like the
Jackass
cards did? Now I don't think that they will because I feel like Stranger Things crosses multiple generations where Jackass was definitely more millennials.
Yep.
But what if they sell for less? Now I was having a conversation again with Aaron because I know this is very niche and Jeremy's like, I don't like this. But I was having a conversation with him. They only made 11 from what I was told. Now I could be completely wrong, but from what I was told at the Zero Cool booth, they only made 11 redemptions. There are only 11. So are those redemptions going to be special boxes? Or are they going to be the same boxes that everybody gets?
That'd be cool if they made it special boxes. But even so, those cards that you got aren't going to be in the box.
No, it's totally different set. That set that I have will never be printed again.
Yeah, so even
and there were only 50, approximately 50 each.
Yeah,
and you have no really control over that too because there could be less of like some like again if you will look there, it's impossible to find a Joyce card. It's really hard to find them. So are there only maybe 30 Joyce cards and maybe there's 80 Lucas cards? We don't know what the actual print run is, but the most that each card could have is 50.
Yeah, and that's what's going to keep it valuable. And it could go up. Even if the redemption card goes down, you're still going to have the complete set where you might get new fans into the Zero Cool, like going, oh man, I forgot this was at National. I want to collect the whole thing. And then you have the set. So it's going to go up then. And I think it's going to go up, like you said. The final peak will probably be the start of the season, the last season. But after
it's over.
Yeah.
TV is different than like pop culture shit is different than like sports. Like sports, you're buying up to the hype, like all the hype before the season, before they let you down, before they get hurt, before they, beat their wives, whatever they're going to do that year that's going to fuck up their price value.
Mm-hmm.
TV is different because everybody's so fucking emotional when the season's over. They're like, I still want to think about it. I still want to feel it. I want everything that just ended and now I can't ever have it again because not only is this a season finale, it's the series finale. So my tip is if you're going to sell these cards, don't sell them at the beginning of the season. Sell them at the end when everybody's fucking devastated that it's over and all they want is to just like hold on to the last little bits of it.
Can I counter though?
Go ahead.
Like Game of Thrones had this type of hype until the final couple episodes because it was the finale sucked. And then everything went, huh?
No, the Duffer Brothers are going to go out with a fucking bang.
Okay, well, that's what you got to bank on because what ends if everyone's like, are you kidding me? This is how it ends.
They're brilliant. There's no way.
Vecna just destroys the whole city and it ends that way.
They're never. It's good. It's going to be. I also heard that they're talking about like a spinoff for some of the other characters. So they can't just, blow the whole world up.
Yeah, well.
Also, this was set in the past. The only thing that I could think of that would ruin it is if they like made it some kind of like where Mike woke up and he'd been in a coma from like falling off of that. I would be like, what the fuck is this?
Then Jeremy would be upset because of the cards, but he'd be happy because he'd be like, I told everyone that Stranger Things sucks. I'm right. Everyone else is wrong because that's how Jeremy is.
This is the most I've gone being silent. It was this, and then when we had Aaron on Hobby Night School talking about Stranger Things, I had absolutely nothing to contribute to the conversation. I would say this though, I wouldn't want Courtney to sell those cards because she spent a lot of time in line at National getting it. And I look back to right before COVID, I did the whole where I went to all the LCSs. It was actually a pretty cool Saturday. Courtney took care of the kids, and I just went and I actually pulled up a chair and I went through all the boxes. I found some Mbappe's. I found this Kobe first class, Kobe with the K, first class, first edition. Sent it off, got graded, and it came back a PSA 10. It was a super low pop card. It was maybe worth $400 or $500. And for the life of me, I was only into that card for $20. For the life of me, I could not bring myself to sell it because it was me who put in the time, energy, and effort. And it was one of my favorite cards. So going back to my original question before we went down the Stranger Things rabbit hole, I look at cards that will I ever be able to get this back? And if the answer is yes, that's how I kind of trick myself into okay, let's part ways with this. Let's go use that money for something else. And let's, if that's truly the card that I want, I'll be able to get back into it at whatever price point.
So your P Wills that are gold, those are going to be tough to get back into if you sell them.
Those aren't for sale. Some of the lesser ones. I
was going to say, how about this? I was going to pull this up because I didn't know if you guys probably already seen it, but this ends tonight, and this would be a sweet card to have.
That is pretty.
So I would show you every single Patrick Williams card that's ending tonight on PWCC I bid on, just in case when it goes to extended bidding. But that's where I'm telling you, that's where I'm at right now, where I have, obviously the Tiger Stripes, a dope card. There you go. You've got the White Sparkle 9. There's the purple, and then there's a gold out of 10 of certified.
Then you had, I think you have, do you have this one? You have it in gold, right?
I've got, yeah. So, but here's where I'm at, though. The more P Will I buy, that's less money and less flexibility to do other stuff with. And so I actually the other day posted, I've got we have a P Will Flux out of green, numbered out of 5, pop 1. And then the gold disco, PSA 10 pop 1. I actually put those up because I feel like of all the golds, the disco is probably the least coveted. And I just felt I actually had an offer in place and the guy kind of went dark, but for $1,600. And I'm I'm only into this card for maybe $300 to $400. Why not take, over $1,000 in profit and use that money for something else?
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, you think of that, I feel like Jeremy's mindset is I'm going to PC a card until I get value of it so I can get a bigger card. And
he just he's like a hunter.
Yeah.
Jeremy is he's got that hunter's mentality where it's once he gets a card, now he's now I need a bigger card. And he has no problem selling a card that he PCs that's a lesser card to go after the bigger one that he wants. And I'm more the cards that I have that I'll never I would never part with, that even if they randomly became the most valuable card, aren't worth anything except for my Stranger Things cards. I feel like my Stranger Things cards are the first cards that I ever went after that ended up being super valuable because I'm more emotional when it comes to I'm very attached to my cards. So we have this Kobe keychain card that got a PSA 6 or some horrible grade. I love that card so much. And yet we were at a show and it ended up in one of the cases. And I'm what the, I'm this is not for sale. And I yanked it out. And I'm even if we could we didn't buy it for very much. It was in an economy sub or whatever. So it's not worth anything, but to me it is. And I don't want to sell it. And even if somebody came up and they're oh, I mean, maybe if they were I'll give you 10 grand, I would be okay, fine, I can buy another one. But we got it on vacation. We were on it was a romantic trip. We went to some card shops because we're fucking weird. And so it has meaning to me, even though the card itself isn't that great. It's it was the event of buying the card.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I can remember the card shop we went to. I can remember where we went out to eat afterwards. I can remember looking it up and being I've never seen this card before. And I remember just the whole event of it. And I think people get so wrapped up in, is this valuable? And how much can I sell this for? And will this like grow and be worth something? That they miss out on some of the actual joy of what the point of all of this is, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. And like it'd be tough because you guys have a cool card, the Jordan Auto. And if that thing skyrockets, I know it's going to be tough to get it out of your guys' hands because that's your guy. Well, and Courtney's sake, not Jeremy's sake. Jeremy will sell that thing in a heartbeat if it goes up.
I have already, in my mind, mentally prepared a million reasons why that card needs to be sold. And so when the time comes, it'll be easy peasy.
It will. Okay.
Easy peasy.
I was curious about that one specific card because I know
it would be hard for me to sell it. And that's the thing is, like, there's a lot of cards where, like, if you just put it up for sale, I'd be like, whatever, you know. But there are some that I like. There's cards that I consider my cards, and there's cards that I consider his cards, and then there's cards that I consider our cards.
That's your card.
Jordan is an our card.
Yeah.
So he could, like, if he just like the P wheels and stuff, if he just put the P wheels up for sale, I'd be like, okay, you know. But if he sold something that I consider like ours without like consulting me, I would be upset about it.
Yeah.
So like,
that one's gonna be tough. I feel like
it would have to be a lot.
Jordan Auto. Jeremy's like, I got a number in my head, and if it reaches there, it's gone.
You know, here's the cool thing though about cards is there's just so many out there, and it's probably actually a challenge. And I've never really thought about it this way because Courtney and I like so many different things. Like truly enjoy. Like we could sit down and look at MMA cards. We could look at wrestling cards, basketball, baseball, female athlete cards. It doesn't matter. We like all sorts of cards. So on any given day, something could be the apple of our eye, which is actually a challenge where if I was just solely focused on Patrick Williams and nothing else, then it becomes much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, that's the thing too is for me where I struggle is like just because I like something, I don't always necessarily know its inherent value. Like we watch MMA all the time. I really like fight. Like I like watching that, but like gun to my head, I have a hard time discerning value in UFC cards because it doesn't make sense to me. Like Conor McGregor cards being like so valuable when he hasn't like won a fight in 8 years. I don't understand it. And then you have guys that are so good and like super likable and their cards aren't worth anything. And I don't understand it.
That's kind of like me in some sports as well. Like I don't understand, like for baseball, you have like Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera that are like known like greats and their cards are worth like nothing. And then you got
Miggy plays for the Tigers, so that's why.
Yeah. But he got his 3,000 hit this year and his market never really moved. And Albert Pujols hit 700 home runs. But then you got someone that has one good year, and that's here I go again. I'm jumping on that hatred band. Like, dang it! Look what you did, Courtney. He had 62 home runs, 7th all time.
You're a hater. We already talked about this. We don't have to
single season, and his market skyrockets.
It's the same thing as these young, like
Sammy Sosa did it 3 times.
Sammy Sosa is.
He's a beast.
Here's the thing. I like that prospecting baseball is terrifying to me. And I feel like the money for prospecting baseball, like you see like guys like that, like Christian Hernandez and all those guys that were like Jason Dominguez, their cards were like insane and they haven't done shit. They've done nothing. And then guys like Miggy who are just like out there crushing, nobody gives a shit. So it doesn't compute. I don't understand it. I like, my problem is that like I have a hard time transporting like sports relevance to cardboard relevance because it's totally different.
Yeah.
And it's almost better for some of these people that don't know shit about sports because they just get in, or maybe it's because of people who don't know shit about sports driving the market. I don't know. Did the chicken come first or the egg in this scenario? But like they just get in, they're like, oh, this card's gonna go up, and then all of a sudden it goes up, even though the guy sucks. I don't know. That's
like for example, Jeremy, and tell me if I'm wrong. And you two,
I will.
You guys are Bulls fans.
I promise you will.
Kobe White's market will probably increase before Patrick Williams, just because the hype of Kobe White in the past. He was more cardboard relevant as a rookie than Patrick Williams.
Yeah,
So
but he was
people
relevant in 2020 though, and so I think that, and then having a year of like shitty management and like injury, and then like not, and then like being not playing enough.
But the thing is in 2020 it was Ja, Zion, and Kobe White. Those were the three people everyone was getting. So the thing with Kobe White is if he does do well, you're gonna have a lot of people trying to sell Kobe White because they
I
haven't.
think he needs to get traded, or his shit. It's too niche. He's too local to Chicago. Even if the Bulls do well, I don't see him as being like the man. I don't see him being the guy. So he's too niche, in my opinion. He has to get traded to get that kind of buzz, and he needs to be somewhere where he is like more the man, or at least the number 2 guy.
And I struggle.
I could be completely wrong. What do you think, Jeremy?
Yeah,
I could see if you were to look at like the Jordan Poole market, when you have a healthy Klay Thompson and you've got somebody like Jordan Poole coming off the bench that can score the basketball. I think there is the potential for Kobe with that. You know, like Courtney mentioned, you know, the Bulls really did him a disservice by being dysfunctional with the front office, head coaching changes, and then they tried making him. They spent a year trying to be a point guard, and he's not a distribute first guard. He's a score first guard. You know, then he had the shoulder surgery, which I can relate to, that you don't come back from that easily. So this was truly his first real NBA offseason as a professional basketball player. And so what he has going for him is he's got some charisma. Everybody remembers the big hair. He's a good kid. When he gets hot, he shoots the 3 ball. And, you know, when we were a kid, everybody was trying to dunk it and do all this crazy stuff. Now people are trying to shoot threes from all over. 6'4" guard. He's only 22 years old. So all I need for him really is just to catch lightning in a bottle for a couple of weeks. And at that point, everybody's trying to be more clever than the next guy. They're going to look at these things and they're going to take a chance on some of his cards.
Yeah, I think you guys are in a perfect situation. You have 2 people that you guys collect that were highly were high draft picks, and people were like excited to see. Patrick Williams was hurt last year, right? Majority of the year, and came back at the end.
Yeah, he dropped like 30 something like last game of the season.
And he was like the 3rd overall pick.
4th pick.
Fourth
Yep.
pick. Yeah.
It was Kobe, right? They both were 4th.
No, I think Kobe was number 7.
Was he further down? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Zion, Ja, RJ Barrett, and I think Kobe was like 6 or 7.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's
he was top, I remember. I know he was top 10. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I still maintain that Kobe has the potential to come out as being like, if not the best, one of the top 2 best in his class. Still, I still think that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess this kind of answers your one question. Like, I stay away from people I like that it's going to be tough for me to sell. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. went to Michigan State. I love like the guys that I watched in college and then going to pro, but I didn't really buy heavy into him because if his market would have went up, it would have been tough for me to sell because it would have been, like Courtney said, hard work for me to get like all the good cards. I'd probably have like his college cards on top of the Memphis Grizzlies. It would be tough. So I like avoid it because then you get situations like, example, Miles Bridges, piece of poop, and now he's worth nothing, you know. And now it would hit me harder. That's why sometimes I don't like to, like, I don't have any Cowboys like really PC because I wouldn't want to sell it. Like I thought about doing Tony.
That's what PC is. That I feel like people get so mixed up between like what they're buying to sell to fund their PC and what their actual PC is. And I think that I like where I think I'm better at this than Jeremy is that I have a PC. I have cards that we've sold stuff so that I could buy cards that I'm going to keep. And those cards, like, it doesn't matter if they ever become super valuable or they're not worth anything. They're my collection.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you collected something that wasn't like inherently valuable. Like maybe you collect baseball hats or maybe you collect pictures of clowns. My grandma did that. It was really fucking weird. So it was creepy too. So those things are never going to be inherently valuable, but you personally love them. That
Yeah.
is like, that's what a PC is. And I think there's so many people who came into the hobby in like the last few years when like it was like everything was so valuable that you get in this mindset of that, like, I can't buy things I like because if I have to sell them. But you don't have to sell everything. You can buy
Yeah.
stuff to fund stuff that you want to keep. Look at that guy,
It's-
that Gucci collector kid. That shit's probably never gonna be worth anything, but he loves it, and that's part of it, you know. And if you have a guy that you love, you know, it's like, I think it's better when you like someone that's not worth anything, because then you can buy as much of his shit as you want, and it doesn't matter if it's valuable or not. You know, you can have his one of ones, you can have his black, you can have his gold autographs, and you're gonna pay $50 for it. You know, it's
Yeah.
nice. It's nice to have like a person that you can collect that you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to be able to resell it.
Yeah, the tough thing about a PC though is like, for example, Jaren Jackson. I really can't PC him because he was expensive coming out. He came from that 2019 draft class. And people, I mean, he had a market, so it's like I don't want to PC him because I don't have to spend a crap ton of money. And if I buy him, it's going to be hard for me to sell. So I'm paying top market to basically keep someone I like. That's what's kind of tough. It's like hard to
That's why
fathom.
you should just buy Cowboys cards, because Cowboys players are trash. Who even wants that?
Well, quarterbacks, like even example, Dak and Tony Romo are like they could get expensive cards because they're quarterbacks. So I would have to get like a defensive player. That's why I get Nomar Garcia-Parra. He's back in like the 1997 is when he was playing it to early 2000s or 2010. I think he retired, but his autos are like $30 to $40, and I'm like, I could handle that. So I just grabbed like his on autos.
It's like Steven with David Montgomery. It's not like
Yeah.
he's breaking the bank with that. He loves he's got a very, like, for a kid, he's got a pretty extensive collection of
Yeah.
like David Montgomery cards. So
One, like, let me see. Let me see if I have it. But there was one Nomar I got at Traverse City, which was crazy that I found a Nomar auto, which I can't find. Typical, but yeah, I'll have to post it. Oh, right here. So like this was like $22 I got it for, and it was an on-card auto. And I'm like, yeah, I was
It's a
like,
sweet autograph.
thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. I got it at the same place as the one that sold you the Stranger Things card. That's how I found your Stranger Things card. I was digging through those boxes.
So let me ask you this: what are you guys looking to buy right now and buying right now? Obviously, having the income available or money readily available is, two different things. But where are you looking at, and what's your thought process and strategy as of right now, Manuel? We'll start with you, Manuel.
My thing is like we talked about this, Jeremy. It's so hard for me because I know the players. I kind of got a grasp on who to buy. It's the funds of actually buying them, and I'm glad you said that because yes, I could have went all out with Jalen Hurts, but it was tough for me to buy those cards because I had stuff tied up. And like right now, I want to buy Rafael Leao. He's from AC Milan, striker for AC Milan, or not striker. Yeah, he is a striker. He's going to be playing with Portugal and with Ronaldo. So I want to buy some of him. He's a little cheaper. We talked about, these are all soccer guys, Nkunku, because there's rumors that he's coming to the Premier League. And he's coming to my favorite team, Chelsea, so I kind of want to get him now before he gets a little bit too hype. And then lastly, there's the Jude Bellingham. There's talk that he might set a record of like transfer fees to come to the Premier League. So I think I might start getting him as well. And I know you got a sweet Jude. I've always eyed it. So
I'm like, you got a good Jude.
I know. Didn't you get that at the National?
Yeah,
I did.
I know. I was like, dang, that's really sick when you got it. So
See, always looking to buy, sell, trade. So I hear a lot of soccer, right?
mm-hmm.
From what you're saying, and is that just because of the World Cup being right around the corner, or what's the thought process and why so much soccer? Because I know you like a lot of sports, just like we do.
Mm-hmm. Well, soccer. I have a feeling like we kind of talked about in the past. people are trying to get out of soccer because it's not going up. Like they're waiting for the World Cup. I'm not. I'm actually continuing to buy soccer because it's actually an enjoyment for me. I think I understand soccer a little bit more than other sports. I played it my whole life. Basketball, there's too many people, content creators talking basketball right now, and that scares me. Everywhere on Instagram, they're like, who's going to be the MVP this year? Who's going to be this? Who's this? Like Luka this, Giannis this. Everyone's talking basketball right now. So I'm trying to avoid basketball because when content creators start talking about a certain sport, that makes people realize, hey, I should go buy these cards, and that makes the market value a little bit more. Like people are smart, so they're trying to get in earlier and earlier. Remember the past was like buy before the preseason. Well, people are buying for the preseason now, and I think people are already off football and moving into basketball like a month ago. So avoiding that. I really don't buy too much football, except if it was like a quarterback. Like I was looking for like the first 4 weeks. So not really buying football. And baseball, I just haven't been into baseball really this year. My Red Sox suck, so it's hard to get in watch a team that it's boring to watch. Hockey seems cool, but I don't know who to. I would have to ask Trees who to actually buy in hockey.
Connor McDavid.
Yep, Jack Hughes. That's all I see him post.
I don't know shit about hockey. I know Connor McDavid's good.
Yeah.
You know the kicker about baseball, that's probably the sport that I know the most from the rules. Like, and I'm talking like getting hardcore into it. We always talk about the nuance. And it's crazy because I think where to make baseball fun, you have to play in that, that Bowman space.
Yeah.
Where you're buying and selling and trading firsts and trying to get colors and autos. And it's just baseball's odd to me. Just a real odd spot. Mm-hmm. Court, what are you looking at? What are you trying to buy? What would you like to be buying?
I'm gonna surprise you. First of all, I'm definitely always in the Stranger Things. I've been like, if you my eBay saved shit, it's all. I'm trying to get autographs of the whole cast, and I don't care about first year, second year. I know that's like everyone wants a first year, but they're fucking impossible to find, and I can't really afford them. So, but I'm.
What about unlicensed autos? That's a pass.
You don't want that. It's a hard pass on that. So only licensed tops, Stranger Things. I also have been like leaning into Funko Pops a little bit. I really like those. It's like I know it's like card adjacent. People think a little, but I'm fully into that. And then because Larissa's gone for the Sox, I might lean into some Sox cards again because I think the Sox are going to be good, and they got a lot of young talent. And I'm like, I have such like love in my heart for them. And I also, people are betting like on who's going to be the new manager. So I might be keeping an eye on that and picking up some White Sox cards this off season.
So I will say that I am routinely looking at everything, and it becomes a very tiresome process sometimes where, you just might want to chill, but I'm constantly looking, with the exception, I don't give as much time to baseball and hockey. Those will probably get the least amount of my time, but I'm looking at all sports all the time. If I had to get targeted, obviously Patrick Williams, and then LeBron has been a big focus for me, which is weird because this just happened in the last 6 months where obviously Jordan guys, but my man's getting ready to break some records. He's, 20 years, what he's doing, the expectation he had coming into the league as a kid, and for him to exceed that is absolutely nuts. So I would say over here we're looking at a lot of LeBron game used, super short print numbered stuff.
What do you think about Tom Brady with his whole personal life being in upheaval? Do you think that's going to affect his card market? Do you think he's going to come back next year and just be an absolute trash player?
Yeah, and as Hail Mary would say, we're always looking for only the thickest of people out there.
Absolutely.
That should have been first and foremost. So my apologies for burying the lead right there.
All the dewdrop.
Yeah, we have all the dewdrop out on display. We redid the card shop today, and I'll have to take a picture later. But I mean, there is probably there's a lot of freaking dewdrop cards, man, and I can't believe we haven't completed the rainbow yet.
So close.
There's got to be like 25 of them up there.
We have so many.
We need to get.
So you asked me a question, Courtly, and like it just went in one ear out the other. I have no idea. I just know that you asked me a question.
I was talking about Tom Brady. Do you think, you see with these great players who maybe stay longer than they should, and they have an embarrassing last couple of seasons, or they it's you always want to leave when people are still wanting more, not stay until you're just a mess and an embarrassment. And I've been seeing Tom Brady lately. He looks like a mess. Do you think don't you think he should just bite the bullet, retire, settle into a nice commentator job? Do you think he's gonna come back and really be a contender still with his maybe he's a better person than me, but if my whole personal life was in upheaval and I was old as balls, he's older than, maybe it's time to just hang up the fucking jockstrap and just accept that. And I respect, he's a good player. Obviously he's the greatest, but at what point is it just time to be okay, I've done this long enough and it's a mess.
He's definitely done this year, I feel like. But you can't – he's going to be a contender. Their whole wide receiver core has been injured since the beginning of the season. I mean, Cole Beasley last week had to sign for a week just to be their number one receiver.
You don't think he's coming back? You don't think it's going to be another – because, to me, I feel like he's just going to keep going until he dies.
Well, he signed that contract for afterwards to be a – host or what do they call it? Sports.
But how many times has he retired now?
Once. Brett Favre did it way more than him. He's doubled.
I thought it's been 3, where he was oh, I'm retiring, and then he came back.
Who the hell knows, man? He's still operating at a very high level. I think he had almost 300 yards by halftime today, and that's what
he's insane. But when you see him outside of the football field, he looks terrible.
Yeah.
He's just everything that he has left in him is just out on the field, and then he comes in, he's
he might die on the field.
That's terrible. Don't say that.
I some mornings I get out of bed and I move a little sluggish, right? And he's 7-8 years my elder, and he gets hit, and then he's just so slow getting up. I'm oh my god, they killed him. They killed him. Tom's dead.
I think to myself, I sleep wrong and my shoulder hurts for 4 days, and this man is out there being attacked by 300-pound giant men. And they're just, I'm I would break a hip. I would be dead.
He doesn't eat bread. He's fine. That's
what. Well, here's the thing. Maybe 6 months ago, you would buy Tom Brady cards and you couldn't lose money on it. And recently, the couple of Tom Brady's that we had, nothing high end, I would call it low to mid tier. That premium's no longer there. So I don't know if other people are feeling the same way, or that's just a direct correlation with the market as a whole being down.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I do see a lot of people having strong opinions about this whole about him, and is he what is the oldest football player that's ever played? Because I feel he's
Tom Brady.
Is he? I feel he's got to be close. 45 is
unless there's something crazy. Yeah, this isn't a young man's game.
No. It's not a 40. It's not 40 plus, man.
Here's his index. Look at this spike.
Yep.
And when he retired, this is when he retired, and it's just been a steady downward battle. I mean,
doesn't he think about what his unretiring does to his cards? I always,
yep.
I always think about the guy who caught that last football, or got the last football.
The poor guy.
Fucking guy.
Yeah, but he's down worse than when it was. I mean, 2021 was a peak too, right? October of 2021, his index is down from there a year ago.
All right, so the last topic, and I think it'll put a bow on for tonight, and I've actually appreciated the conversation, is where and when to sell. We're talking about buying, but if you don't sell, then what the hell, what are you doing? So I'm interested to hear Courtney and myself have a little bit of a strategy. We might even look at things a little bit differently. How about you, Manny? What's your strategy? What are you doing? What's working for you? What's not working? What do you want to share with the good people?
So in the past, I had good value in consignment my cards to Ryan Cards.
Who?
Ryan Cards.
Okay.
And Twitter.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be so damn aggressive. I was just I'm going to make sure I ask the follow-ups. Who?
No, the reason I do him is because
you do him.
Yeah. He gives
it's a clippable moment.
He gave 10% on every sale, and that's better than eBay. And I mean, if you're on Twitter, the guy sells your cards within seconds, and then he'll give you your money right after the sale, so you get it the same day. The first time I sent him cards, it came on a Monday. He sold my cards Monday night and gave me my money Monday night. So it's like, wow, why can't this is way better, easier and better than eBay. But he doesn't do soccer. So on my soccer cards, I've had luck going to shows, except Traverse City. They don't like soccer up there. Jeremy and I
northern. You think they'd be close enough to Canada to be more?
Yeah. Jeremy and I, we were all excited about our showcase, our soccer showcase, and we lifted it for like 2 Hollands for that were worth like $4, and everything else was like, yeah, we're gonna get some stuff. We didn't sell anything.
That was the most badass showcase. Like, I was just proud to be a part of it because collectively our cards combined made like a Captain Planet Super Showcase. Yeah. And not a damn person from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan wanted anything to do with soccer.
You get a picture of the showcase at least?
Like and Jeremy has some, like the Juden he has. It's crazy. This is the 1 of 1, and literally no one even asked to look at a card.
I'm half a bottle in, guys.
There you go. So, Manny, you said you sold in the past with Ryan's cards, but you just said earlier you're buying a ton of soccer.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do soccer. So like, what's your strategy, or at least what are you thinking? And, what are the pros and cons of whatever it is you're thinking?
So my thing is I need to put in a little bit more effort in trying to sell on my platforms. Like you guys do. You're on Twitter. You just had a buy sell trade on your Twitter account, and it was like, like a whole bunch of retweets, and I was like, dang, let Jeremy go. Let's go, Jeremy. I hope you gain a lot of followers because you got sales. Like, the thing that would kind of made me feel good is like people were getting sales done under your buy and sell trade thread.
Or for the people.
Huh? What?
She said we're for the old half a wine over there said she's for the people.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I don't put the only card that keeps going up for sale is the one Jeremy keeps posting, and it's the 1 of 1 Neymar. And I just got to, like I said, I got to put my stuff on eBay. Like, you guys sell on eBay a lot, like auctions. I have never really dealt with auctions, and maybe they'll start doing that with like these type, like the bulk deals I got. That I'm not wanting to grade. But yeah, I need to be more efficient trying to sell stuff, especially now that
about it.
Yeah, because now I'm like tied up right now, and I'm like, man, I want to buy some cards, but I'm like, I need to sell some stuff first before I start buying again.
If it's not something I care about, I'm fine selling. Like, I'm all about it. Like, I like to post up as much as humanly possible and as fast as I can and get like the stuff. If we buy it bulk lots and it's the right time to sell, I will we just got a bunch of cards back from like SGC, and I will pull them. I'll look at them. I'll price them all out. If I feel like, it's like we have a bunch of young soccer players that their cards aren't worth anything right now. Mm-hmm. These are people that we're holding with, the anticipation that they're going to be worth something. So it's really, I think when you're selling, you just have to know, like, if you're going to be selling in lots of different markets and lots of different sports or, pop culture or, Marvel or whatever you're selling, and you have to know that market. And I think, it at the end of the day, it goes back to just paying attention to what's up, double coverage. It goes back to just knowing the market and understanding that you have to, be able to educate yourself on when the peak of that market is. If you're, trying to sell all your baseball cards at the end of the season after your, team has already been kicked out of the playoffs and you have no postseason, like you're gonna sell for nothing. You're gonna probably sell for less than what you bought them for. Mm-hmm. So you want to buy in the dip and sell the hype. It's not even like if you're gonna wait for a player to have like a great game, you might be waiting all season and then that never happens. But you could sell your football cards preseason when everybody's like anticipating them to be good, and then you might not sell at the most part. Maybe that card that you bought for $100 for a player that you believe is going to be good at like right before the season starts, you could sell that card for $350. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a chance that this guy, if you really believe in him, that he might be like amazing and have like 3 weeks of just the best, playing you've ever seen. And that card goes up to $500 or even $600. Now you could take that risk and hold it. Now you're only into this card $100 and you could have $300 in hand right now, or you could hold it and hope that this happens. It could never happen. And that card could end up dropping down to $50 at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, I think you can have all the strategies you want. It's a gamble.
Yeah. Well, I think the best way is to gain relationships with people and know what they like. For example, like I know double coverage is looking, that's probably Dama. He's looking for Isaiah Thomas. 2019, he wants to complete the whole set. So whenever I'm out, I'm going to try to get a good deal on these to give it to him. I know he's a Man U fan, so I'm going to make sure to sell him these when I get these graded. These Anthony, he's a big Anthony guy. So selling that, like you just got to know, like when you start to, like, for example, I could have, instead of telling you guys at Nationals, if we weren't like if I didn't know you, like
National
at the National, like family, I could have bought the P. Wills and then gave you guys a sweet deal and made a couple bucks, but I rather be like, Jeremy, I found these P. Wills, gold P. Wills, go look at them. But then I look like the bad guy because I'm telling Jeremy all these P. Wills are at. But yeah, people could do it that way when you gain a relationship. Like people know you guys collect Patrick Williams. They know you collect Stranger Things. So like if you're on the lookout for it and you're helping your friends, you could sell easily that way.
Unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. There's a guy who has the 1-of-1 for Kobe White for the My House, and he wants like $5,000 or something stupid for that. And I would caution trying to be too cute with your exit strategy. Mm-hmm. Like trying to time it and get absolute top dollar can easily backfire where, if you were to go 2x, 3x on your money, sometimes it's okay to just take that profit and run. Now, I would say from a selling thing, when we're doing the eBay thing, we're either doing a 7-day auction starting Sunday night between 8 and 10 p.m. Eastern, or a 5-day starting Tuesday night, same time. So it ends Sunday night. It's late enough where the East Coasters are going to stay up a little late, but the West Coasters, they're going to be settling into their evening. And we found good success like that. We'll post a card on Twitter or Instagram for, let's just say $200. We'll put it on eBay and it'll sell for $350. Just they still have the largest absolute damn audience. You had mentioned, having a network. I know that if I have super, super, super short print, rare, let's say Peyton Manning cards, you can go to Drake's PC.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or if you have, let's say, Lionel Messi or something like that, you know exactly where to go. Or if you have New Zealand footballers, you're going to take it double coverage for my peeps. You know what I mean? Yep. From their homie Rick in the States. So the last thing I'll add on the selling thing is we try to post cards up, I don't want to say routinely, but with some sort of regularity on Twitter, on Discord, on Instagram, and eBay, because you never know who or what is going to be there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so it's a long-winded way of like, we just try to dabble everywhere. And some days Twitter will sell just as quickly as you post them. Some days it'll be dead. Same thing with Discord, IG. And then, one thing that we don't mess with anymore, and it sucks, is just my slabs.
Sorry, I'm reading double coverages.
That's saucy, by the way. I'm sorry, that's not Dama. That is definitely saucy.
So I just also want to say one thing too, is like if you're holding on to a card that is just like falling, like someone just jumped out of an airplane. At some point, you have to like suck it up and cut your losses. Jeremy talked a lot about sunken costs. The longer you like stay on that like crashing plane, the worse it's gonna be. And sometimes you just have to like understand that you're like, just because you paid $500 for something, that is not the current market value. And unless you're willing to sit on it forever and hope that it like may eventually go back to just like the bare minimum of what you paid for it, just because the last comp was $500 like a year and a half or 2 years ago or in 2020, that does not mean that that's what that card is worth. And if you can't sell it for that much, you just have to like, yes, thank you. You just have to cut your losses and move on. There are so many people that just, and I think it's a lot of people that like got into the hobby in the last like maybe 3 years, and they cannot wrap their mind around the fact that the cards that they paid for are not worth what they paid for them. And instead of just like cutting that loss and moving on and trying to just like be done with it, they have them like posted up at shows. They have them posted up on eBay. They have them posted up on Twitter for these like inane amounts of money that the card isn't worth. So you're just, first of all, you're setting yourself a reputation. Like no one's ever going to buy from you if they walk up to your shit and it's always overpriced because you're trying to get 2021 prices in nearly 2023. And these cards are not worth that. And also like nobody's going to do business with you. So you're already cutting off your legs before you even get started, because you might have cards that you actually are selling for, a normal amount. But when someone walks up and they see all your shit like super overpriced because you have like old ass comps, you're not doing yourself any favors.
I like that.
To put a bow on this conversation that we had today, one of our absolute favorite things to do, and I'm sure vendors, they're not going to say anything publicly just because of all the goodwill and the way we treat people, but I'm sure it chaps their asses. When you can buy a bulk deal in the off season, grade what's gradable, and then turn around and sell it. And let's say a card is routinely selling for $100 on bids all day, but you're only into the card for $20 or $30 and you can sell it for 50, 60, 70. That is just an absolute beautiful thing. We made our margin. You bought it, so you have room to go sell it, make a little bit more money. And so when you time that, and I would say there is a little bit of skill and a little bit of luck, but when you time that, that is an absolute great thing.
How many times have you seen someone like, oh, it's selling on eBay for like $1,200, so I can probably do 13 or 15 because, the market's going up. I know what I got. Like, stop. Don't do that.
Is it?
Court, this happened to us at Traverse City, and it pissed me off. Where it was a Zion Williamson card, Zion, and it was selling all day. And I was prepared to make a strong offer, and it was like between $900 and $1,000, like on auction that day. And he's like, "Well, it's going for between $900 and $1,000." He's like, "I could do $1,500." And I was like, at first I thought he was fucking with me, and then I'm like, "Oh my god, no, he's dead serious." And I'm like, if I could, as the kids would say, smash the bin right now and get it for like $950, why the fuck would I pay you $1,500? What world are we in?
People are insane. Like,
he probably didn't sell a card, by the way. He did not sell.
No, hell no.
No, unless he got some dumb person who doesn't know how to like. My favorite, the people who you can tell are like that. They're like the ones who are like, I don't believe in comps. Don't show me your comps. I'm like, I'm not buying your comps.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have one question before we go, and I kind of brought it up because I've always thought of this, and this is like just probably a fault to my personality. Maybe it's not, but like to you guys or I consider family. Like, for example, I know Saucy wants Alexander Volkanovski UFC cards. If I were to buy these cards, I cannot sell them to you guys like for a profit. Like if I were to actually go through and buy those Patrick Williams, because you guys are in line, I'm not going to sell them at a profit. Like even if I got a steal, because
I was laughing when you said that about like building relationships and like.
Well, because I can't.
I couldn't do that either. Like if I picked up a card that I knew that you really wanted, there's no way that I would be able to sell it to you.
Yeah.
And make money off it. Like, I would feel gross.
When I said it, I didn't mean it that way. I meant it like, because like there's special people in the hobby that I consider family. So like, but if I like know you, like just say hi, blah, blah, I would do that. I would go buy something at like $20 that's worth say, like you said, like if you buy a bulk deal and it's 100, I'll sell it to you at 70 so you can make money. We are both happy. But even if that's the case, I would like, for you example, I'd be like, I got this for 20. You want it? Like, I'm not going to like ever, like, I don't know. It's tough because there's some people that are cold blooded. And that's why I would never, like the Stranger Things card, I could have bought it.
Buys cards for people at shows and then sends them to them for free. So you're singing to the choir. You're singing to the choir. He's like, I found this card for Maddie. He's like, I'm going to send it to him. I'm like, okay. So I feel you. Like, it's good. It's good. I would say when you talk about establishing relationships, it's more like established knowledge of people who collect things, because there's people who know that we collect Patrick Williams, so they slide into our DMs because they know. They're not like personal friends of ours. They just know that we collect. And there are people that I know that collect things that I would, if I came across a card, I would reach out and be like, hey, I have this card. They're not necessarily my best friends. They're just people that I'm aware that collect this. So yes, to your point, you're never going to be able to make a ton of money if you're trying to make money off of your friends, because you're just unless you're like super cold-hearted.
Exactly. I had to rephrase it because I did sound like I was a jerk, but I would never do that. Like for like double, if I find those Isaiah Thomas or Alex Volcanal, I'll be like, just pay for shipping here. Like, here's the card. I'll take the loss and bought it for you. Here's a gift.
I'm gonna go because I can see my cheeks getting red, and that means
Mary's like, I gotta go too.
I've had too much wine, and I don't want to say something stupid. Like, I'll end up on cardboard and be like, look at this dumb bitch. She got drunk and said some stupid shit. Cheers.
Sherry doesn't have anything to say.
No, I'm just, hey man, Court, we appreciate you jumping on for the first ever. You know, we've been talking about doing this roundtable quite a bit, and I know we had a few messages from people prior to jumping on, like, hey, I'm doing some family stuff, or I'm sick. I think, 504 has got the Boo Boo Browns or whatever the hell weird message he sent us. But I mean, we got Australia participating. Hail Mary, we appreciate you guys jumping on. I always think it's a fun conversation when there's not a script and just people asking and, sharing, what works for them, because what works for Courtney and myself might not work for Manny. What works for Manny might not work for Hail Mary. What works for double coverage, who the hell knows? You just got to worry about not getting your ass kicked by a kangaroo or a spider the size of a human being.
In fairness, what works for me doesn't always even work for you, my love.
Oh, Kevin Cormier, thank you.
What's up?
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy.
All right, so we pegged all three. Thank you, Kevin.
What's up?
Good people.
Fantastic.
So we should we should do these more often and make it like a segment, like our Too Thick Talk. We talked about it. Maybe it's a weekly thing, our second show of the week, where we always talk about, hey, we need to do a second show, and this could be it.
So here's what we do next time. Courtney gets to be moderator. I drink 3/4 of a bottle of wine. Manny, you drink your 3 Pacificos or Corona, and we just alternate who holds it together.
No, your friend Alec, he gave an offer of like that Pinky's pizza where we all eat the
weed pizza.
It's weed pizza. Then you slowly get higher while you're eating.
So
I don't think you can do that on YouTube.
So nobody knows how our social medias work, because they just slide in and they say, yo, what's up, bro? And so Courtney doesn't miss a beat and just chats with them. Yeah, so a guy that I know from Detroit was talking about some new pizza spot that opened that's also like a dispensary. And so they make a pizza with weed baked into the crust, or I guess pun intended, weed baked into the crust. So Slick did that natch. But we met one morning for a Starbucks Reserve, and he's like, so did you get the pizza? And I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. He's like, yeah, the weed pizza. And so I looked into the Instagram. I'm like, ooh, he was chatting with Courtney. I'm like, yeah, we're going to go get some weed pizza, even though we're not weed people. But yeah, we'll do it. Why not?
And then
Michigan. I have anxiety. I'm stressed out.
I have back pain and glaucoma.
Yes.
Jeez. And then if you guys are on, you guys are going to witness Jeremy's new taste test where he's sucking down something.
Oh, we're doing that as soon as he comes upstairs.
So, yeah, we got to do that video soon.
I have no idea what it is. They told me it doesn't taste bad, but the amount of sucking that goes into getting this thing out, I'm like, I'm truly hauling myself at this point in time for the hobby.
Amelia and Lala were eating them yesterday. It was First of all, they look like little Jello tubes, and then it's like jelly that comes out, but it's like
Oh no!
you suck it out, and then it comes out in one chunk, but it's also like slightly liquidy. And Lala sucked it into her mouth, and she went, and the whole thing came out in one piece.
That's gonna be Jeremy.
Oh, dude, I just got like the chicken bumps or like the.
You said multiple times you're gonna do it, so like now you have to.
Yeah.
I cannot. Like I have been waiting. I'm so like all of the other ones we do. I get like I get so excited for them. This one, by far, he gags brushing his teeth. He is gonna.
Hold on, that's because I brush the back of my tongue, unlike most people. Like
I can brush like all the way down my damn throat without gagging the way you do. You're like in the bathroom.
Well, that's why I don't make the boys happy, Court, and that's why you're in my home.
I don't cook, I don't clean, but
I did see Jeremy does gag on a toothbrush, but man, he put down a glizzy when we were in Chicago with like 2 bites. That was insane.
He's got a big mouth, man.
Yeah, put that foot long down real quick.
I'm definitely down to be moderator while you two get drunk on one of these, so that would be fucking fun. So I am in.
Let's do it. I think we should start doing these like
maybe bi-weekly or something like that. But yeah, no, we appreciate everybody that hopped on. It was a great time, 90 minutes of I don't know what the hell that was, but there was actually some good information in there. It was a very, very natural and organic conversation. So appreciate everybody hopped on. And until less, close it out, Manny. Do like the whole sports cards, levity, hobby release, all that shit, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed your hobby release. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter, OnlyFans,
Grindr,
Grubhub,
Grindr.
Yeah, Courtney runs our Grindr, so I don't know how that one works. Instagram, follow us everywhere. We're even on TikTok, and you'll find more of Jeremy sucking and slurping on stuff for content.
Hey, I can see that look in Courtney's face is going to be a good night for me. So until next time.
Until next time, see you guys.